and welcome to the Power Gamer Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Dawson, joined as always by fellow host and time traveler, Johnny Paulus. Johnny, last night, you and I both traveled through time.
We did, indeed.
Together.
Yes, that's true.
And it caught us completely off guard.
Yeah.
We were sitting, playing games, drinking beer, having a good time.
Yep.
And you go, hey, man, do you want to watch one more episode of Andor? And I go, let me check the time. And I just go, what the fuck?
How is it 3 a.m?
We had completely missed that it was the day in which the clocks moved forward. So we traveled in time for agricultural reasons that may or may not be completely defunct and unnecessary for Americans to partake in 2023. But nonetheless, we made our time warp. Lost an hour of probably hanging out and having a good time as a result.
Yep.
Slept later than one would have wanted, also probably as a result. And yeah, it's been a long day for me, regardless, as I continue my preparations for playing in the Jesus Christ Superstar musical. Another 2 days of grinding. I probably put another 12 hours in this weekend in rehearsal. Well, practice and then 3 in rehearsal. So, my hands are ground beef. My shoulder hurts because all of my bass guitars are amazingly heavy boat anchors. And I'm not touching any instruments tomorrow because I don't think my fingers would even let me if I wanted to. So, that's basically me this week. Johnny, how are you?
Boy, it has been an eventful week. So my wife left for California Wednesday, and I have been Mr. Mom ever since. So it's now Sunday night. It has been me and the boys, and I'm proud to say that like the house is in okay condition. Like the dishes have been getting done, and it's not a total mess. And you know, we've had a lot of solid dude hangs. We played a lot of Tiny Tina's. I'll get into that in a second. But yeah, I've been like getting the kids to school and doing the dinner thing, and I'm like full blown Mr. Mom for the last 4 days with one more day to go. Megan comes home. I pick her up from the airport around 9:15 tomorrow.
Tomorrow morning or evening?
Evening.
That makes sense because otherwise she'd be on a plane at like super early o'clock.
She's getting on the plane like 11 o'clock her time, and then she gets here at like 9 p.m. our time. But
nice.
No, so I got to get the boys to school and get them out of school and feed them dinner and get them to bed, and then basically go get her tomorrow. So I've got one more day of solo dolo dad duty.
Sounds like fun.
It's been all right.
Yeah. I pulled a couple of those shifts. That's a pretty good stretch right there. I'm usually the one traveling, so.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Yeah. Well, that's exciting. You'll be looking forward to things getting back to normal, perhaps.
Yes.
And onward and forward as you continue to deal with your lost hour of sleep this week.
Yeah, that's a bummer. Bad timing on that one.
Bad timing indeed. It really sprung up on us out of absolutely nowhere. So.
Yeah.
Well, very good. Welcome in, everyone. This is episode 108 of the Power Gamer Podcast. We are going to begin this week's episode, as we always do, by first discussing the games we've been playing this week. Looks like we've both had quite a bit.
We've been busy.
Done.
Yeah.
I probably have less to say about my games, and I know that you probably got quite a bit to say about a few of these, so I'll get mine out of the way first so we can dive a little deeper in on some of yours here. Borderlands 3. I'm late to the party, but I finally completed Borderlands 3. It's really good. It's another solid Borderlands game. I thought the ending was all right. It kind of does like a fake out ending that I almost wish had actually been the ending. And then it does like the better ending, I guess, where it's more conclusive. And that was fine, but not as interesting. But I still liked it. Had a good time with the game. Didn't take forever to complete. Probably not ever playing it again. It's like, great, I'm done. Okay, time to move on. But Borderlands 3, we had a good time with the end boss in Borderlands 3, because we're going to be talking about some of these Borderlands end bosses. Was kind of lackluster. I even remember the end boss in Borderlands 2.
Yeah, me too.
Having quite a bit to it. And this one was basically, there's some pink stuff that you need to dodge. And at one point in the fight, it cues you to like go around back, hop up and slap this thing on the back of the boss. And that's it. And it takes like 5 minutes. It's not very hard. And it dies and credits roll and life is good. So, yeah, it's not going to score as strong for me as like Borderlands 2 did or Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. So I gave it a 7.5 out of 10. Some improvements they could have made in the game. As per usual with Borderlands games, the map is the fucking worst. Trying to navigate on their mini-map is always the worst in a Borderlands game, because they don't checkpoint you from spot to spot on the mini-map like most games do. So it just puts it in the relative location. So you might go, okay, I see the point that I need to go to. It looks like it's north of me. And then run into a wall as you're driving north and pull open the map and go, oh, I actually needed to double back completely to the other side of the map and follow this nondescript road. And so you're constantly stopping in the middle of the world, pulling open the map, looking at it, trying to find your way. So this is something that's always driven me fucking bananas with Borderlands games, is the map. It's a simple thing to get right. This game does not. So prepare to be annoyed by the map. And yeah, I mean, other than that, it's just kind of all right. You know, the story's not super gripping. The stakes don't feel nearly as high as they did in Borderlands 2. The spaceship is cool. I really like the spaceship in Borderlands 3. Sanctuary, the flying spaceship, was pretty awesome. But yeah, overall, it just kind of felt like, all right, here's just more Borderlands. So yeah, 7.5 out of 10. Next up, I also completed Blanc, the brand new game that's on Nintendo Switch. It's the baby wolf, baby deer, black and white. Go find your pack, your mom, your dad, whoever, as you've been separated in the midst of a wildly terrible snowstorm. A few things to comment on Blanc. Blanc should not give you the option to play the game by yourself. It should require you to play it with someone else. A la It Takes Two or A Way Out. Blanc is absolutely not worth attempting to sit down and play by yourself. It's a frustrating, horrible experience because basically left stick controls wolf, right stick controls deer, and you're moving them at the same time. And that, as you probably can imagine, doesn't work.
Yeah.
But playing it with someone is the way to go. I guess they have the option there just to broaden who can play the game. So it's like, maybe it doesn't hurt that it's there. I could understand that logic. But certainly some emphasis should be put on, you should probably play this with someone. Like maybe put a little pop-up bubble at the beginning.
Right.
Blanc is much better played with someone else.
Yeah.
Blanc does work online, so you can play it online co-op. Unfortunately, it doesn't have any voice over IP baked into it on the Switch. So to communicate, which is essential, given that it's a puzzler, you will need to like rig up Discord or something to speak to someone while you're playing this game. If you're doing it online, if you're doing it couch, then I guess whatever. Blanc is very good, and it's very short, and it's very sweet. It takes maybe 2.5, 3 hours to complete, start to finish. Unless you were to really get stuck on a puzzle, I can't imagine it taking any longer than 3 hours. That being said, most of the puzzles are pretty straightforward and pretty cohesive. We did encounter, I would say, a couple of not really so much bugs as just mechanical failures in the game that didn't require resetting the game. It just kind of, you had to move your character around and poke things enough until they started working correctly. Right. So there was a hang up or two, but nothing majorly annoying. Really, so I kind of, the only areas I would say the game should probably improve is make a bigger stink about being played with someone else. Maybe add a couple more levels. I mean, 2.5, 3 hours is really light.
Yeah.
Really
that's
light.
Real short.
We could add a few levels to this and still be interesting, I think. And then the online play is good that it's there. There's a lot of games that don't have online co-op that should. Now, this game being a game that, again, I think should only be played co-op, I think it's really kind of a wasted opportunity that they didn't bake some kind of voice channel into the game, which you have to. For those that aren't aware, Nintendo Switch does not have a baked-in supported voice program. It has to be built into the game itself. And so for them to release this there and not have that baked in, considering its strong need to have communication to play the game if you're going to play it online with someone, which is how I figure most people would probably play it that are our age. That kind of hurts its score. So it's an 8.0 out of 10. Very good game. What I've been working on is Gears of War 3 Ultimate Edition. So me and Mandy have continued our co-op foray across all the different systems, and have now landed on Gears of War 3. Made it up to Act 4 in the remastered, beautified version for your fancy new Xboxes. And it's the first time we sat down and played it, it crashed. And then since we've come back to it and played it, it's run like an absolute dream. So having a good time with it, we'll certainly have that finished by the next time we sit down and talk. Finally, as a Star Citizen player, I would be remiss to not mention that the long-awaited patch 3.18 is live. It's finally here. The release day was abuzz with excitement and confusion as the release didn't really roll out smoothly. CIG, the people that make the game, are awful at communication. And so they go, it'll be live Thursday night. We couldn't quite get it out Thursday night, so it'll be live Friday morning. We're still having problems with it here Friday morning. It'll come out around 4 o'clock. Around 4 o'clock. We're starting to roll it out, but you might not be able to get in till 5. And then you get in, and guess what, ladies and gentlemen? The game is completely broken in an unplayable state. Somehow, and that's really strange considering I literally just copied my PTU folder, my public test folder, into live so I didn't have to reinstall it because it was the exact same game data that was working perfectly in PTU. So who the fuck knows? Maybe just the increased traffic caused it to break. So
wow.
I haven't had a chance to sit down today to see if it's been patched, but it'll be patched. But this is normal shit for Star Citizen for those that are new to it. When new patches come out, it's awesome. All the new features they add and all the new ships and cool stuff. And they're like, come on, this is the time to join. But you always got to wait a few days because it's just completely fucked. It's just like World of Warcraft or anything else. It's a MMO. The first days after a patch or a big update, it's a complete nightmare. So hopefully I'll be able to get in and get rolling in the new Star Citizen universe this week. So, Johnny, that wraps me up. Let's begin to tackle your list, sir. What have you been playing this week?
Sure. So, as I mentioned before, one of the main things the boys were really looking forward to, with it being a dude-only household for a few days, is they knew that we would be able to do some Tiny Tina's Wonderlands late, before dinner, so that was what they wanted to do, and that is what we did. So we did 3 different sessions of Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, with 2 of them split screen on the PlayStation 5 and then me on the PC. Happy to report, crossplay still works beautifully. I can just go on and join their game and boom, we're in. We had an absolute ton of fun. And as soon as we were working our way toward the last boss, and it was becoming pretty obvious that that's where we were headed, was like, we're almost there. We're at the big fight. And Liam, my oldest, who is starting to become a little bit of a metal fan, thank you, Stranger Things, goes, "Hey, Dad, we should play Master of Puppets while we fight the last boss." And I was like, okay. I mean, I can cue that up. So I go on Spotify and I open up Metallica Master of Puppets, and I've got it queued. I'm ready. And then there's the big scene where the Dragon Lord comes down and he does his fucking monologue, and it's about to go. And I just hear my oldest go, "Dad, yeah, play the music." And yeah, and that was that, and that was what we did. So we beat the last boss with Master of Puppets absolutely blaring. Last fight was a lot of fun. There was a lot of shit going on. Was the big dragon comes up, and then there's the waves of like these spectral ghosts you have to jump over, and the Dragon Lord is teleporting all around. I really liked the reveal at the end. I thought they stuck the landing with the ending. And I think this is my favorite Borderlands game.
Agree.
I think
it's right there with 2, man.
It is right there with 2. I agree. It edges it out a little bit. Personally for me. I liked Wonderlands more. And this is also the only other Borderlands where I rolled credits and went, well, let's go back in. Let's go see what else we can do. Let's I wanted to keep playing. Whereas like when I beat 1, it was like, okay, I'm done with that. And like, it sounds like you beat 3 and we're like, cool, uninstall, all done.
That's what I always do the games though. So just to clarify.
But so with Wonderlands, both the kids were like, let's 100% it. Let's do everything. Like, let's get all the shrines. Let's do all the quests. Let's do it all. And I'm like, I got a game that you guys are having fun playing, and you guys cooperate well, and we work as a team. And like, I'm down. If that's what you guys want to do, that is what we can do. So, I think I'm gonna give this like a 8.2, something like that. It's pretty solid. I don't really have a lot of gripes. I like the story. You would think, Tiny Tina sort of being the DM and the voice in your head the whole game would get old, but it really doesn't. They keep the charm there, and she's funny, and she's one of my favorite characters in that universe. So thankfully, it doesn't grow stale. And I like the character customizations. I like the weapons. I like the spells. It's a really, really fun Borderlands game. Anybody who has played the other Borderlands games and thinks they're burnt out on it, this is one you might want to give another look at. If you're looking for a good co-op game to play with your friends, couch co-op on this game works great. If you got you and a roommate looking for a game to play, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands is a great place to go. And especially now that, I mean, it's basically in the bargain bin now. I mean, you can get this game with all the DLC for, $30-$40 all day long. So strong recommend. It's a lot of fun, and I think it's my favorite Borderlands game, and I hope the next Borderlands game is Tiny Tina's Wonderlands 2.
Yeah, I scored it fairly similarly last year.
Mm-hmm.
I actually pulled up my doc. I gave it
I was curious what you got.
Yeah, I gave it a 7.8.
Mm-hmm.
So very, very similar in the score category. I really enjoyed it for a lot of the same reasons. I think I remember the things that grated on me was the first couple hours of the game were pretty grating and not the best. But it was about the time that you hit the level with the pirates.
Yes.
Where the game just got like, holy shit, way better.
Yeah. Yep.
And from that point forward was just awesome.
Well, and I have to give them credit because it's a big game with a lot of side quests, and the side quests are pretty memorable. I mean, there's there's the side quest where there's like the one band on one side of this area, and then there's like the uppity band on the other side. That's like the two metal bands, and they're competing, and that's really funny. And like even just the stupid quest they're really good at taking a quest that didn't take them much time to put into the game, but make it funny and make it memorable. Like there's one quest where there's this little troll. He says he's the tooth fairy. He's got like wings and a sign, and he wants teeth. He wants you to go get teeth. So you have to go cross the bridge and start hitting skeletons with your melee weapon to knock teeth out of them. And you get like 5 or whatever, and he's like, if you could bump up those numbers, that could really increase the payday. And we're like, all right. And you go get 32 teeth. And then he goes, well, if you go down the pass and you get some teeth from these guys, and it just keeps going and going. But then there's the reveal where Tiny Tina's like, talking about the next step of it. But the game players in the Dungeons and Dragons game are like, Tina, how far is this going to go? Like, can we just turn this in and be done with this quest? She's like, okay, fine. And like, so they even when they make sort of a bullshitty quest, they're able to take the humor and stick the landing, even though there's not really much there. I mean, the quest is talk to a person, walk here, kill things, walk there, kill things, walk there, kill things, and then you're done. But it's a funny quest because of the dialogue and the interplay, and you got Sandberg and you got Wanda Sykes, and like it's a really solid voice cast with really good like humorous comedy writing, and that's what works for the game. And I know Borderlands is known for being generally funny, but I think Wonderland's kind of, I think the fantasy setting, the D&D setting, it does it some favors. So I really enjoyed it a lot. Mm-hmm. Moving on, I also rolled credits on Atomic Heart. It's not a great feeling when you roll credits on a game and you go, I must have got the bad ending. Does this game have multiple endings? Oh, okay, it does have multiple endings. Okay, what are the multiple endings? Oh, I got the good ending. So, unfortunately, the game didn't really sink the landing. And it really just came down to, like, just the way that it wrapped up. Like, even, like, the last couple boss fights were fine, leading up to where you're getting there. The leveling up of your weapons, and like I felt like a fucking god by the end of the game with all of my powers and all of my powered up weapons and all the shit that I can do, and like all of that was rewarding. It was just the cinematic reveal at the end of the game where you went, oh, that's what we've been going for, is that? I mean, it wasn't quite as bad as Rage, which I think has the worst ending in video game history. But it was a little dissatisfying. I still really enjoy this game, strongly recommend it, and I do think I'll probably be going back for a New Game Plus run because I mentioned last week there's these testing grounds that are basically like dungeons, and there's different puzzles to get through, and you got to sort of figure out how to navigate to get the different power-ups and stuff. I kind of avoided those. I did like 2 of them, I think, and then I just went, I'm just going to power through the rest of the story. And I did, and I didn't really feel like I missed out. But it was a little bit of a bummer to like go to the shop and go to the crafting area, and you're like, there's still 4 weapons I haven't made. And I'm about to roll credits on this thing. And there's still a handful of weapons I don't have. I don't know where to get them. I could go backtrack and go hit all these testing grounds for an extra couple days, or I could just do this boss fight and finish the game. So that's what I did. But it's on Game Pass. If you have Game Pass and you like first-person shooters, there's no reason to pass this one up. I do recommend it. I think I'd put it, I think it's like a 7.8. I think 7.8. Somewhere in that range. But, I'm pretty rough on first-person shooters. There's a lot that I don't get down with. So
I mean, besides the ending, what else could it have done better? Because I've watched a lot of this game being played.
Yeah.
Right? And like some of the things I noticed just watching it is it seems to do the fucking Ubisoft move of unnecessarily overwhelming you with enemies for sneezing on something. It seems like it does that a lot.
It does do that a lot. I mean, I think improvement-wise, I think if there was more to do on the main map, because as soon as there's the reveal, I mentioned last week, like, you're sort of in this lab, and it has almost a Half-Life sort of vibe where you're going into an elevator, and then now you're in this part of the lab, and there's this experiment that went wrong, and you're going through that, and then you get on the next elevator, and you go to the next part of the lab. But when you leave, it's sort of like, oh shit, we're open world. There's like roads and fields, and there's all these different places that I can go, and like it feels like, oh man, there's going to be so many different things that I can do. There really isn't. It's just these testing grounds, you know. So it's like there's this open world, but there's no side quests. There's no like go here and do this or go here and help that person. Like I think the biggest thing that hurt this game is that you feel like you're the only fucking human being in this entire area. It feels like the robots wiped everyone out, and it's just you versus countless robots and countless little plant zombie things. And it's like, if there had been little bits where like you got somewhere and they're like, oh my God, thank God you're here. I need your help. I can get you this key that will get you into this testing ground. If you can help me get this. That would have helped it immensely. But when you get to that open world area, it really is sort of like you pull up the map and it's like, here's testing ground 3 and here's testing ground 4 and here's testing ground 7 and 8 and 9 and here's your main quest spot. And that's kind of it. And like that's what hurts it. If they had added another 10 hours of content with like actual rewarding side quests and shit to do, I think it would have helped the game a lot. Because I was, when I got to the open world, I was like, oh man, we're just getting started. Oh shit. Because the game kept impressing me. It kept raising the bar and raising the bar and raising the bar. And then I got to that open world, and it's just kind of like, that's as high as the bar goes. It's not going any higher than this. What you've played is now it, and there's just a whole lot more of them. Good luck, figure it out.
Yeah, whenever I play a first-person shooter game and encounter an open world, my bar is always Far Cry.
Yeah.
And, you know, Far Cry 6 really executed that amazingly well.
I agree.
And so it can be really tough sometimes to even just sit and watch a game that takes place from that perspective in an open world that's not executed as well. Yep. And that was, I guess, as an observer of the game, something that kept kind of bothering me with it was I kept making that mental comparison to Far Cry 6. And, you know, even like just getting around the world. And Far Cry is fun, you know, whether it's with cars or helicopters or whatever. And every time I saw somebody like get in a car in Atomic Heart, it looked like they were basically figuratively punching themselves in the nuts trying to get anywhere in it.
Yep.
So,
yep. Well, no, and I mean that's a really good point, and it is sort of you know, similar to the thoughts that I had on Forspoken, where it felt like they bit off more than they could chew. It felt like when they were pitching the idea for the game, they're like, and it's going to be open world, and there's going to be this, and there's going to be that, and then they just didn't have enough time or money to like finish it all. So it's like when you got to the big open world part, if you want to min-max and 100% and get the platinum trophy and go to each testing ground and work through them, I mean, again, I did 2 of the testing grounds, and they were great. They were really cool, great puzzles, lots of enemies, rewarding at the end, like, but there's nothing story-wise there. There's nothing like, there's no thread to pull on and like, well, let's go see where that leads. It's just, here's another fucking lab to go kill shit and find stuff and get upgrades to make you more badass.
Hey, look, we're in Delaware.
Exactly. So, I mean, you know, I almost wish that they had canned the open world idea, because when in the first, let's say, third of the game, when it was very linear, go here, then go here, then go here, cool, you're done that, get on the elevator, go to the next area. I kind of wish that when I'd left the lab, it had said, cool, get on this shuttle so we can go to that building, and then that building can now be a sort of linear experience. But instead, it was just kind of like, well, there's a whole bunch of places you can go. What do you want to do? No, you just want to go do the quest path. Okay, there's a bunch of other stuff. There's no reason to do that. Sorry, I just accidentally muted my mic.
I heard it.
Yeah, sorry, I hit a keyboard key and it muted my mic.
He's getting excited over there. He's flailing.
I know. I'm flailing my arms around. But no, I mean, I know I'm kind of shitting on it right now, but I did really enjoy my time with the game.
The reason why I kind of stopped you to ask is 7.8 means it has some deep flaws, and like we didn't really hear about any of them. So I was like, well, let's talk about that, because I think
the last half of the game was lacking is really what it comes down to.
Yeah, I think it's worth talking about. I mean, and what looked good in the game is it has really amazing looking graphics.
Yes.
The art style of it is very unique.
Gunplay's great.
New
the
IP.
Melee combat is great. It's new IP. The shit that you're fighting is great. The boss fights were awesome. I mean, there's a lot to like here. It did feel a little underbaked. It felt like they needed another year to like add a few more side quests, flesh it out a little bit more. But I'm not disappointed with my time, and I'll be excited for a sequel. So I liked it.
Yeah, for a game from Focus Entertainment, I'd say this is pretty up there.
Yeah, no, I dug it. It's a recommend, and if you have Game Pass, there's no reason not to check it out. Moving on, Plague Tale Requiem. I finally got started on this. I've only done one playthrough. It was maybe about 4 hours I did with this game. It's like putting on a comfy old pair of shoes. It feels exactly like the last game. Graphically, it's a major bump up. So far, I'm enjoying the story. I'm enjoying where we're going. It has that very clear sort of cinematic path. I know you sort of rubbed elbows with this one about 2/3 of the way in, so I kind of am going in mentally prepared for that. But so far, I'm enjoying it. I don't have a whole lot of thoughts about it other than feels like the last one, and I'm looking forward to playing more of it. Also played the Dead Cells Castlevania DLC finally. Anybody that has this game on Steam, and if you're like me and have avoided all of the other DLC, haven't touched any of the other DLC, they have a bundle on Steam right now. It was $16, I believe, for the Castlevania DLC and all of the other DLC for Dead Cells. So $16, you can basically have everything else for Dead Cells. So that was a steal. So $16, boom, let's go. Fired up into the game. Took me a little bit to figure out how to get to the Castlevania portion of the game, but the moment you get there, the power-ups are Castlevania, the music is Castlevania, the monsters are Castlevania, the gate for Castlevania is there. All the nostalgia's popping off. And, I mean, I think Dead Cells is currently on the Mount Rushmore of greatest roguelikes of all time. So the fact that now there's an option to go do a Castlevania portion of that, and then now the thing that always made Dead Cells interesting is when you find a blueprint for a new weapon or a new power-up, the cells that you get from killing monsters, when you finish a level, you go to the guy and you turn in those cells, and you can spend them however you please. So, for example, the first Castlevania power-up I've got is the cross, the big giant cross that you throw, and it goes forward and then backward like a boomerang. It's been a staple since, I believe, the first Castlevania game. That is now there, and it's in the shop, and every time I sit down and play Dead Cells, I'm putting in more cells to buying that. Once I've put in those points, there is a chance for that Castlevania power-up to show up in the main game. So all of these Castlevania weapons and Castlevania power-ups are going to be permanently added to the fabric of the main Dead Cells experience. So I'm really excited about it. Dead Cells is a game I still have not rolled credits on. It's incredibly fucking hard, but it is really, really addictive. It's very tight gameplay. Everything feels really fluid and really good with that game. That game is still in a very good spot. And if you like side-scrolling Metroidvania and you're not afraid of getting into a roguelike, Dead Cells is still a strong recommend, and especially with this Castlevania DLC, it's just another reason to give it a shot if you haven't yet. And lastly, Chained Echoes. Boy, do I have some thoughts on this one. It's on Game Pass. It was developed primarily by one person. This was a Kickstartered game that was supported and developed and worked on for many, many, many years, and it's a massive labor of love. And that is very evident by everything in this game. The presentation is top tier. The music is top tier. So far, the story is really good. I love the universe. It has a really unique combat system. It has what's called Overdrive. So it's a turn-based JRPG, but there's a meter up at the top, and there's yellow, which is not good. There's green, which is good, and then there's red, which is bad, really, really bad. And as you're doing these different spells and different power-ups, it raises that bar, and you're trying to sort of feather the pedal, so to speak. You want to keep it in the green, so you can't do like hard-hitting spell, hard-hitting spell, hard-hitting spell, hard-hitting spell, because you're going to overload the gauge. You occasionally have to switch a character or use a consumable or maybe have a couple people do a turn of defending just to get the meter to go back down. Because when you're in the green, you do more damage and you take less damage. As soon as you're in the red, you do less damage, you take more damage, bad things happen. So the overdrive meter is really cool. But then, man, I hit a brick wall with this game. Holy shit, did I hit a brick wall with this game. I had, 3 playthroughs with it. I was completely absorbed in the game, couldn't stop playing it. I'd literally wake up in the morning, make sure the kids had breakfast. It's the weekend, wife's not here. Game time, let's go. And I'm fucking 10 a.m. firing up this game. Let's get back into Chained Echoes, and I'm going through it, I'm plowing through it, I'm rocking through it. And then I get to this town, and I see a carrot pop out of a log, and he's got arms and eyes and looks like a person, and he goes running off. So I go chasing him, and then I see him, and he's running off again, and I go chasing him again, and he does this again, and finally I get to him, and he jumps out with his cronies, and his cronies are a red pepper, a piece of broccoli, a mushroom, and an ear of corn. Okay, and this is a full-blown boss fight. One does the heals, one does the AoE attack, one does the regular attack. You're putting out all the heals you can and all the debuffs you can and all the fucking attacks you can. You finally kill them all, and then a shish kebab bar flies out of the sky, skewers all of them, and now you have to fight all of them together as one. They now have an ability that means they cast 2 spells each turn, one of which is an AoE that will basically do about 30-40% damage to your entire team. They will do this twice. So if you somehow can't find a way to keep your party at 100% health, they can just randomly one-shot your entire team with one turn. Pretty frustrating. I got really upset and decided, okay, clearly this game is telling me that this is not a fight that I'm ready for, so I'm gonna leave, and I'm gonna continue back on my quest path. Maybe I'll level up a little bit, and I'll come back to this fight. So I go back onto the main quest path, and I'm going, and I'm exploring, and I finally get into the temple, and there's another big boss fight. That boss beat me 4 or 5 times. I got really mad. I rage quit, said, fuck this game. And then 30 minutes later, I was like, man, I really want to play this fucking game, though. Like, all right, hold on. Is there a difficulty slider? So I fire it up, and there's a way to turn their health pool down. There's a way to turn the overdrive meter to not be as tight. So I turn that down, fire back up into the game, and the boss kicks my ass another 3-4 times. So then I go on Twitter, and I tweet at the developer, and then I go in my Discord, and I cry to them about how fucking mad I am at this game.
Oh, God.
And then a couple people pop into the Discord, and they're like, oh, but did you go to the reward board? You get a bunch of power-ups if you go to the reward board. I was like, oh, no, I haven't done that yet. Well, let me go check that out. So I go to the reward board, and like sure enough, there's a whole bunch of shit that's just sitting here. I didn't know I could unlock. So now I've got all this money and I've got all this extra. Oh shit, I leveled up, and okay, let me do these new spells. I got a bunch of money. Let me go hit the shops. Let me get the best weapons, the best armor. Let me go add some gems to this weapon, add some gems to that armor. All right, cool. I'm ready to go kick that boss's ass. I'm on the lower difficulty setting. I've leveled up. I've got the new spells that everybody was telling me is going to be the key to killing this boss. And I go back to that boss, and the boss kicks my ass again. The really frustrating thing about this is when I go on Reddit and I search how to beat this boss or how to beat that boss, I see multiple posts on Reddit, multiple places online going, why the fuck does this game get so fucking hard at the 5-hour mark? There are multiple posts with the same experience that I have, where they're having fun, they're enjoying themselves, and then all of a sudden, a dick comes out of your computer monitor and slaps you across the face over and over again until you Alt F4 and say, I don't feel like playing this game anymore. And that's kind of where I'm at. And it bums me out because I was having an absolute ball. I was having so much fun with this game, and then all of a sudden I wasn't. And if your boss can two-shot any member of my party, and I have one healer that can do anything about that, it's just the difficulty bar went from like, I mean, it was always there. I'm not going to lie. There were fights that were tough. There were fights I had to try again. There were fights I had to run away and like go get it. The difficulty level felt good. I was challenged. It wasn't a cakewalk. There were fights that I had to walk away from and be like, well, let me go get a couple more consumables and go try that again. Like, the difficulty level felt good. But this shish kebab boss and the boss in the Purple Temple can suck my ass. And they've almost made me want to quit the game. And it's really, 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 really fucking frustrating.
So let's talk about Shashlik for a moment.
Okay.
Shashlik, now that's a word for a vegetable skewer, actually. That is the name of this boss. Shashlik is an optional boss, and it is supposed to be one of the most challenging in the game.
Well, it certainly is.
But it's optional. So if you're just getting your...
That boss has killed me 3-4 times, so I'm not...
Johnny Paulus? Yield, sir.
Yes, sir.
Time to be quiet and listen to Papa Mike.
Okay.
We've heard you boo-hoo. And we know how you get when you get upset by a video game. Johnny has gotten his dick kicked in by the hardest boss in a game that is emulating a 90s RPG. This, to me, sounds perfectly acceptable and welcome. Because games these days don't do this to players. I come from an era of great RPGs like Final Fantasy VI, a.k.a. Final Fantasy III, and Chrono Trigger. And what do those games do? Exactly fucking this. So when I hear Johnny talk about running into these brick wall bosses, that actually gets me excited because I've been playing through every Square Enix release lately, which I've been chronicling weekly. And I got to tell you, the difficulty's not been there. Those games are fucking walks in the fucking park in comparison to what I went through back in the day as a child playing games like Chrono Trigger. There are some bosses in Chrono Trigger that will make you fucking cry. That you have to just disappear for like a week and grind and level to come back. And I know for some people that's really annoying. But to me, like, that is the hallmark of a great experience with a JRPG. Is there was some cartoon that did this. I forget what it was. But, like, the character came in and got their ass kicked. And then, like, there's this training montage that goes on where, like, simulating, like, a year of them going back and training. And, you know, that to me is, like, what a good JRPG does. Like, when you run into that fuck you boss, who in this case happens to be a skewer with a broccoli, a mushroom, a corn, a bell pepper, and a carrot tied to it. Taking that time to seethe in anger as you just level up until you come back in fucking like Goku Super Saiyan 4 all over its ass. I think that's something that makes them good. And I was kind of, as you were going on, and while I was preparing the show, because I saw your very colorful rant on Discord about the game. I was like, let me look up some of these things that Johnny's talking about, just to check. And yeah, I gotta say, man, I think you just need to go back and level, because the consensus out there on the internet is this is old school. You're gonna run into ball checks that are gonna piss you off, and but that's the only way you get the reward. You know what I mean? You don't get the feeling of being rewarded for your effort if you're just handed everything. If everything's perfectly tuned for when you arrive, that's fine and well for selling Forspoken. But when I'm playing a real JRPG, fuck that shit.
Well, I mean, so first off, the Shashlik fight is like 20% of my frustration, because I know he's an optional boss. That is not the boss that has been mopping me and burying me into the ground. It's the guy at the Purple Temple, because he is my only quest path. He's the only thing I have on my books. The only thing that I have. And the reason why I'm so fucking angry about it is because I have not backed down from a fight. I have fought every fucking thing I can. I have run around the fields and kicked all the ass. And I know how to min-max. I know how to, let me sell some shit so I can get that thing, so I can get the better thing here. And, I have all the things that I should need to be able to kill the only boss that's on my quest path. He's at the end of the Purple Temple. I forget what he's called. I can Google his name.
Was it the Purple Flame Temple?
I don't know. Purple. I think it's just Purple Temple. Hold on.
Yeah, I'd always check into these things. Is it the Dream Eater?
Yes.
The big red...
Yes.
The big
red guy covered in faces.
Fucking super scary looking red pile of gory faces.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's not optional, Mike.
No, he's
the only.
But he also looks like he should kick your ass.
He's the only thing in my path, and he's beaten me.
This is actually. Let's.
It's like a 10-minute fight, bro. I've wasted 2 hours of my life getting my ass kicked by this guy.
I'm gonna send you something, okay? Because the first words of this guide that I'm reading is, quote, "This fight isn't too bad," end quote. So maybe I'm gonna send this to you and see if it has some useful.
That's fine. I could send you the 10 Reddit posts I found that were like, "Why is this game Satan all of a sudden?" Because I'm not the only one that had the same experience where they were having fun with the game and then they weren't.
I can dig it, but
I'm just saying, if you're going to have difficulty sliders in the game, I should be able to go, okay, I'm getting frustrated. I almost threw my controller across the room. Is there a way to turn these things down? Oh, there is. Okay, cool. We'll turn it down. We'll kill this boss and then we'll turn it back up and I can continue to have fun. I'm sorry, running around a field and farming fucking wool turtles is not my idea of a good time. I understand the nostalgia of yesteryear, but that is an era of gaming that I don't need to fucking relive, which is running around fields for 20, 30 hours in Final Fantasy VII, leveling up so I can beat Sephiroth. Not my idea of a fun time. I don't want to invest those hours for that. Give me story, give me progression. If there's a fight that's genuinely I'm not ready for and it's optional, fine, no problem. I'll keep on leveling. But when I'm on my quest path, I have one quest in my quest log. I have nothing else that I can do to level up to prepare for this fight.
There's some mechanics in the fight that if you
I've done them.
I got
I've done them.
But if
I've read the guides, bro. Mike, don't fucking test me on this fight. This boss was my day today, okay? I know the mechanics. I know what orb to kill. I know what orb not to kill. I know what debuffs to hit. I know to keep the poisons up and keep the bleeds up and keep the buff on your party. I've done it all, bro. He buries me every fucking time. I've read the guides. I'm doing those things, and he fucking murders me every time over and over again.
Okay.
I've read the guides. Trust me, I've tried.
Okay.
This wasn't just, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm mad. No, this is like, okay, clearly I'm missing something. Still can't fucking get him, and it pisses me off.
Ladies and gentlemen, I love Johnny Paulus, and I've seen this movie before. I'm going to fire up this game and get to the dream. How far in is this guy?
5 or 6 hours.
That's not that bad. Okay. And then we'll report back next week. So here's the challenge I'm going to be set myself for all of you. Because Johnny loves it when I give him an opportunity to say, I told you so to me.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of times, Johnny, where you come up on the right side of that, I told you so. So my challenge to myself is to get to Dream Eater and fucking smoke his ass without any problem at all. So I can come back here next week and be like,
okay, all right, yep.
Johnny.
Now here's the only thing I ask for this challenge.
Okay.
Play the game as you would normally play it.
Okay.
Don't go spend an extra 4 hours farming the field because you know you're going to go fight a boss that's really hard. Just play the game as it feels natural. Fight the things as you see fit. Because, again, I was having a ball with this game. I was really enjoying myself. And then all of a sudden, I just got punched in the balls over and over.
Yeah, so the way that I normally play games, right, especially JRPGs, is I do keep a guide up to ensure that I'm hitting the right level markers for encounters that I'm coming into.
Yep.
So I will do that.
Okay.
If there's a guy that says, hey, you should be between this level and this level for this instance, I'm going to be prepared when I walk into those instances. Because that's how I play JRPG games. So, yeah, if all I got to do is sink 6 to 7 hours in to get to Dream Eater, and basically, I'll give an honest take. If I walk in and I shit on this guy, I'm getting back on here next week and calling you a bitch.
That's fine.
Because
totally fine.
Ladies and gentlemen, I can't underline the explosion of emotion that I saw in the Discord today. And I didn't know that you got on Twitter and you tweeted the devs. You better be right, dude, because that's going too far.
Well, I didn't. I mean, just for the record,
you better be fucking right.
For the record, the color that you commented on in my Discord, the tweets were nowhere near that level. I just basically said I was having a lot of fun with this game until I got to this boss. And
go ahead.
You can read the tweet,
but how do you remember it again?
I basically just said I was having a lot of fun with the game, and around the 5 hour mark, it got punishing, and I was no longer enjoying myself. If you're looking for a JRPG that's really challenging, look no further. If you want to have fun, maybe play something else.
Quote, 0 out of 10. Fuck that game. End quote. Meanwhile, it has a 91 on Metacritic.
That wasn't my tweet. That was Discord.
That was Discord, yes.
Yeah, that wasn't my tweet. Like I said, my tweet was much more grounded. No, my Discord was like, I'm going to fucking burn this company to the ground. No, this boss really pissed me off, bro. Like, for real.
I understand. But I'm going to...
beyond Elden Ring, beyond Dark Souls, really pissed me off.
But what I want to put to the test now, and it's no poo-poo this or that, is I want to see if this is something that's happening to you, per se, or if it's actually a design flaw at this point. Because this game is on my short list of ones that I must play. One of my my number one voices that I listen to in the industry, Colin Moriarty, formerly of IGN, who currently runs the Sacred Symbols podcast. I listen to him religiously, and me and his taste is almost identical. And he has called this one of the best games ever made ever.
Yeah, I again, when I start Googling the boss fight that I'm on and I find a Reddit post and there's 30 comments below it going, yeah, I've tried everything and I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I don't know why all of a sudden this game got really hard. I don't know why all of a sudden... I've found multiple posts about the difficulty spikes at around the 5 hour mark, and some people just can't get over that hill. And that's just a bummer. You should be able to turn a difficulty slider down to
but the
enjoy the game.
You'll always find the you'll always find things to reaffirm your feelings on the internet, right? And then you can't ignore, though, the other side of the coin.
No, that's true.
That it has an 88 user score on Metacritic.
Mm-hmm.
So that's separate from, reviewers. So overwhelmingly, I feel like if this game was really that punishing, people would fucking hate it, right? If it was just unbearably difficult to get past. So, yeah, if you search XYZ, I struggled with this in any game ever, you could put fucking Kirby's Dream Land in and find somebody bitching about the tree fight at the beginning. I promise you. Rule one of the internet. If you can think it, it's there. So you will always find shit to fill your echo chamber to reaffirm how you feel. And it's one of the most demoralizing things you can do to yourself, not just in games, but in fucking anything. And people do it to themselves all the time. So I always try and go, well, what's the real common take on something? And I try and go with that and test that. And that's kind of like the point behind me saying I'm going to do a challenge. Is I'm not testing you, I'm testing everyone else. You know what I mean? Because the overwhelming consensus is that this is a masterpiece. And I don't feel like something that's a masterpiece would feel brokenly difficult. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I want to check it out. If I have a way easier time with it than you do, then there's probably something that you're missing that I can share with you to help you get it. Remember, like in Ghostwire Tokyo, you were having one of these moments where you're like, fuck this thing. Mm-hmm. And it was just something dumb. There's a building that you couldn't see to get around or whatever. And it's like, once you did that, it was like, boom, beat the game.
Yep.
So, yeah, I definitely want to give it a fair shake. And given its critical acclaim,
well, and I've got to say, in my experience with this game, this is the steepest decline I think I've ever experienced. Like, I was like, I'm here and I'm having fun, and I'm getting more and more invested, more and more involved. Like, I'm like, this fucking game is awesome. And then all of a sudden I get to that boss and it's just like, okay, all right, cool. All right, tough boss, nut check, got it. Okay, cool. Let me go get some extra consumables. Let me go make sure that I'm leveled up. Okay, cool. Looks like I got everything. Okay, cool. Let me go fight him again. Buries me. I try him again. Buries me. Try him again. Buries me. Try him again. Buries me. Alt F4, fuck this game. 30 minutes later, I go, nah, you know what? I can beat him. I'm going to go try it again. Buries me. Then I go on Discord. I rant to them. They tell me about the reward board. I get more power-ups, more level-ups, more money. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm leveled up. I got this ability they said was good. That ability they said was good. Let me upgrade my armor. Let me gem up my weapon. Go back. Buries me. I mean, other than running around a field farming mobs for 2 hours, I don't know what the fuck else to do.
Yeah.
And that's just frustrating.
Yeah, from what I'm reading, there's some things that it sounds like you're missing. But all good. We'll get it sorted out and hopefully get you back on track with this game too.
I'm going to fire it right up as soon as we're done this stream. As soon as we're done this recording, I'm going to hop right back in.
Very good. Was there anything else? I know last week you were playing Hogwarts. Did we just not get to that one this week, or?
Well, that's a game that I'm playing with my wife.
Oh, right. So she's out of town.
She's out of town. I'm not touching it, so I got to wait till she
gets back. I forgot to mention Harvestella, my go-to, which, I've just played more of. I don't really have anything new to say about it, but. Chained Echoes. This episode, it turned out to be about Chained Echoes.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to hit one piece of news real quick and then get out of here. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You'll remember a couple weeks ago when it was revealed, or the newest gameplay was revealed of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. There was two rather different opinions shared on the show. One positive and one extraordinarily negative.
Yeah, that's how to put it.
It would appear consensus is more along the lines of extremely negative.
Yep.
So we're going to ride with that for a second. Because Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is in the news for all the wrong reasons. So following its very poor reception at Sony State of Play, it's now reported that Sony that Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League could be delayed into 2024. This is a rumor, but the rumor comes from a solid source, Jeff Grubb, who you'll remember is also the person that completely laid out Sony's PlayStation Extra and premium services months in advance. He's got an untarnished record of accuracy when it comes to leaking things.
Yep.
Here's the drop as per Video Games Chronicle. On Thursday, a Bloomberg source claimed Warner has decided to push Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League from its previously announced May release date to the second half of 2023. Following the report, which Warner has yet to comment on, Giant Bomb reporter Jeff Grubb said a reliable source had told him that Rocksteady's game may not arrive until next year. Billed as a genre-bending action-adventure shooter. Think about those words in succession. Genre-bending action-adventure shooter. Ugh. Set in an open world, Metropolis. Suicide Squad was announced in August of 2020 for PS5, Xbox Series X, S, and PC. It was originally planned for release in 2022, but last May, the game's release was pushed back to spring of 2023. And in December, Warner announced plans to release the game on May 26th. A 15-minute showing during a PlayStation live stream attracted some criticism from fans due to the game's live service elements, such as the requirement to play online even in single-player mode. The presentation also confirmed that the game will feature a battle pass, which Rocksteady claimed would only contain cosmetic items. Post-game support, including new characters and missions, were also announced. So, yeah, when I saw this game, I shit on it for multiple reasons. That A, it was basically a live service game, very a la Avengers, very a la Destiny. And I also shit on it because it looks bad. The combat looks bad. It's all this floating around the city, flying around with the different characters. Everything looks like a big fucking bullet sponge, meaningless shooting just for minutes upon minutes. And I shit on this game really hard. And I was wondering, I guess first off, before we discuss the news, is if since the initial reveal that we saw a few weeks ago, Johnny, if your opinions on it have changed at all, or if they've basically stayed the same.
I mean, I remember when I saw this reveal, my thought was I didn't know that this game was a shooter, because that's not really what Rocksteady does. But I don't know. I thought I'm kind of right still where I was. I thought the game looked fun. Am I excited that it has a battle pass? No. Am I excited that it's a games as a service? No. Was I excited when they went to the menu and every weapon and every piece of armor had a gear score? No. But the story seems intriguing. The cinematics are cool. I thought the gunplay looked fun. It might be enough to propel a game, but apparently popular opinion does not agree with me.
I think one of the issues with live service games is that it doesn't. A story in a live service game by design will never be resolved. Right? And that's why weak, ambiguous stories in games like Destiny do well. Because it doesn't actually need to have a story. And Destiny, to this day, I don't give a fuck what anyone wants to tell me. Destiny does not have a fucking story.
But the Traveler.
Yeah.
The Traveler did a thing.
Now we have The Witness in Lightfall, and we have... fuck off. The game doesn't have a story, and guess what? It doesn't need to have one. You just need bads coming to your planet for you to shoot so that you can shoot them and get new loot, and you can do the big raid puzzles and the awesome game mechanics and all of that. So what's my point here? Every successful game as a service has a foundation on fantastic gameplay.
Yep.
The gameplay isn't fucking top tier. Do not bother. See Marvel Avengers.
Yep.
It doesn't matter that it's the Avengers. If the gameplay isn't top tier, nobody cares. So the reason why Destiny is successful, and really, I don't know, like, can somebody please hire me as a consultant to go talk to these game companies and just tell them this.
Yep.
But I only have to tell them one thing. If you're going to make a game as a service and it's going to be successful, your gameplay has to be so fucking good that somebody will invest 4,000 hours into it. And I don't mean 4,000 hours as an exaggeration. It's got to be that good. And if it's anything less than that, then it's going to flop. And, like, that's my problem when I see Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. It's like, if I saw that gameplay and it was like in a 12-hour story game, you know what? Fucking fine. I will forever compare it to Crackdown because that's what it looks like. But Crackdown, I thought was fun. I liked Crackdown. Jumping around on buildings and shooting bad guys and stuff. And it didn't take that long to be. I had a good time with Crackdown. You know, I didn't think that game was bad. Did it need 2 sequels? Yeah, no. But Crackdown was fine. If Crackdown never ended, it would be the worst fucking game ever because its only saving grace is that it stops. And that, so when I see this and I see the backlash, you know, how many more devs, how many more publishers need to dump money into these games as a service just to realize that it's not going anywhere? It's not going to, people really, 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 really don't want that. You know, people want a great story Suicide Squad game. People want a great story Avengers game.
Yeah.
You know, is that offbeat? I mean, isn't that what you think people want too, Johnny?
I think the biggest bummer of this being a shooter is that I would argue that the Arkham Asylum combat system is like one of the
top
best.
Tier.
I mean, one of the best, top tier. Parry, jump over that guy, do this guy, finish him off while I batarang that guy. I mean, the combat in the Arkham games is so fucking good. It is a little bit of a blower to see Rocksteady go, but what if we had guns and jetpacks? And you're like, but that's not what you guys do, though. Like, why are you doing that?
You made the best stealth action combat game ever.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Arkham Asylum is like god tier for me. It's
really fucking good.
A damn near perfect game. I mean, between boss fights and mechanics and combat, everything about that game is just incredible. And I do want to give Rocksteady the benefit of the doubt. And I do think I have rose-colored glasses on because it's Rocksteady. I think if this were a different developer, I don't think I'd be as kind.
Yeah, the problem for Rocksteady and me is it being Rocksteady doesn't mean anything to me at this point. Because Rocksteady hasn't put out a game in fucking forever.
It's true.
You know, it's 2023. Like, the last game that they put out was Arkham Knight. That was in 2015.
God, is that old?
Yeah, dude. Because Asylum, City, and Knight were the 3, and then Origins was the other one. So, yeah, 2015. It's like you fall off the horse for that long.
Yeah.
And then you come back with this, and it's just not looking good, in my opinion. So we shall see what happens with this game. It's a head scratcher. It really is. It doesn't look like something that should be coming from them. You know, Gotham Knights look more like their kind of thing.
Yep.
Than this. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes. Finally, that brings us to the final segment of this week's show. That segment is, of course, One Up. And Johnny, are you ready?
Yes.
You've been waiting for this for a long time.
I really have.
You were right.
Yes.
Andor is fantastic.
Yes, it is.
Not only is Andor fantastic, But as a Star Wars piece of media, it's just fantastic in general.
Correct.
So what does that mean? Well, it means that it's the best Star Wars show, bar none by a mile.
I think it's the best Disney Plus show by a mile. It blows away everything else Marvel. It's the best thing Disney has done on TV.
It's better than 7 of the Star Wars movies.
Yes.
You might not agree with me on that, but because you have one that you like out of the new 6, but I'm going to say it's better than 7 of them.
I still and Andor is still way better than Last Jedi, no question.
It's really good. This
you haven't even gotten there, bro. You're not even at the halfway point yet.
The only thing that could derail it for me, and you can spoil this, I don't want to see any fucking Jedis. And I don't want to see Tatooine. Good. If I don't see either of those two things, awesome.
You are in for a hell of a ride.
I'm fucking sick of Jedi, and I'm fucking sick of Tatooine.
Yep.
So it's really, really good. What do we get through? 5 episodes last night?
Yeah.
So I'm on episode 6, and I'll keep cruising through it because it's really, really good. So, Johnny, just to put a bow on it, you were right.
I was right.
Did awesome. You ever think of a one-up for this week, dude? You got anything?
Yeah. My one-up is, sorry, I had it, and then it was gone, and then you asked me, and then it was officially gone. I did have one. What was it? I don't know. It's gone.
That's fine. That's fine. It's you know, sometimes when you're trying to do one off the cuff, it just disappears. So you can just lament, or not lament, rather, you can bask in your correctness.
I'm just glad. So for anybody that is like trying to figure out what the fuck is going on, with my wife being out of town, Mike and I said, well, we got to hang. I mean, the fucking house is empty. It's just the kids. They go to bed. Right. You can come hang out. You owe me a 6-pack of beer because I won the bet on the PSVR 2 price.
I paid up on that. Yeah.
So he paid up on that. We're good. And we played a little bit of games. And then he was like, all right, well, you've got me. What are we watching? Put on something for my eyeballs because you're controlling the TV now. And I knew this was my chance. I've got to get him on Andor. Because in my opinion, Andor permanently raised the bar on everything that is Star Wars, period. And my best friend, Steve, we basically grew up together. He texted me after the first episode of Mandalorian Season 3 and went, yeah, it was good, but I feel like Andor permanently raised the bar on Star Wars. I'm like, Mando just doesn't do it anymore. And I'm like, yeah, I agree. Mando's fun. Mando's a fun little like adventure, romp. I love Grogu and, the little cool canon reveals and stuff is all fine and dandy. But no, Mike, there's an episode later on in the season of Andor. I think it's episode 8, where when the credits rolled, I looked at my wife and I said, that is the single greatest episode of television I've ever seen where nothing happened. It's an entire episode of dialogue. But you're so invested in the characters and you're like, oh shit, we're finally going to get this character talking to that character. And it's fucking incredible. Like, just Emmy Award writing, Emmy Award fucking acting, incredible. And that's the whole episode.
So excited he slapped his mute button once again.
Yeah, apparently the enter key is the one I got to avoid. Okay, I figured out what key it is now. My bad. I muted my mic again. All right, we can wrap it up. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you next week.
All right. So we will, of course, be back again next week with another great episode of the Power Gamer Podcast for you to enjoy. Until then, I'm Mike Dawson.
And I'm Johnny Polish.
Tune in next time. Take care.
Catch you on the flip-flop.
Ooh, yeah.